Hi everyone, yesterday I started my second character in Season 9, a Rogue, and I wanted to try the new PENSHOT setup. I talked about this already in another video a few days ago. There was a buff to Eaglehorn, making it bounce every single time instead of only every fourth time. And on top of this, we have some new Asheraf based setups. And well, this is an absolute blast to play and it looks hilarious. So this is what you can see in action right now. And I would really recommend you guys to try this out. It is fun, it is strong, it goes fast, and this character that I have here is like far from really fully set up or so. I think I can get at least 5 times more powerful than this or something like that. So something like blasting through 70, 75s or even higher than that in like 2-3 minutes is very realistic on this. So I had an absolute blast. I'm gonna walk you through the setup briefly because I already have the other video. I will link that. But yeah, I was just I just wanted to show this off because I'm so excited to play this right now. I did have a lot of fun with my Spiritborn as well, which is not completed yet, so I will go back to that. But I just want to make an alt, try some of the other new stuff. I started this rogue playing with Twisting Blades, which can actually make a very similar build. I also talked about this in the same video that I just mentioned. And it has a very similar setup as well. So you can make an Asheraf Twisting Blades rogue or an Asheraf PENSHOT rogue, but PENSHOT is definitely kind of like the more exciting one right now, I would say. Twisting Blades, a lot of people have done that in the past, and it is good. If you really like that, you can play that. It is on a very similar power level as well. And well, here we have like the new cool stuff. There are 3 uniques that I need for making this build work. Number 1 is the Asheraf, of course. This is where all the damage comes from. This is the sword. It has this cold damage proc, and this cold damage is all your damage almost in this setup. So your skills don't actually really deal damage. You're just trying to build a lucky hit machine in order to trigger this Asheraf. And not only that, you also want to stack a lot of attack speed because this Asheraf proc then does more damage, not just by happening more often, but also for some reason, the more attack speed you have, the more damage each proc does. So that's a double dip basically. And then we have the Fist of Fate in order to facilitate that. So with those gloves, you can get more lucky hits, especially you get other perks like the free vuln and so on. And like this, you can really scale your damage even higher, because at some point with the high lucky hit chance that PENSHOT already has by default, you get to the point where basically every hit can trigger that Asheraf proc, and your weapon damage becomes very marginal, for example. And largely we have the Eaglehorn, the new updated bow. So this is obviously required to make these bounces work for PENSHOT. Technically, you can play this PENSHOT version without this bow, but you kind of want to have this because that is what makes it so unique and special. This build absolutely destroys everything in Torment 4. So this is what like an Infernal Horde looks like, for example, here. So you have the arrows flying everywhere, and it looks pretty cool. So it kind of depends a little bit sometimes on the arena that you're in. So for example here, sometimes there's not really that much opportunity for arrows to bounce. And if you're like in smaller corridors, you actually deal more damage because there's more bounces going off and you hit targets more often, but it doesn't really matter that much. But you can feel the difference here and there at least. But other than that, yeah, it's just like very smooth. It also has really good boss damage. So for example, if you go forward here to the Infernal Horde bosses, they can die pretty fast as well. And again, my character is far from really set up, for example. So this is going to get like 5 times more powerful. I will one-shot these guys effectively. And eventually I'll get to the point where lair bosses will also just melt in seconds. I have my planner here. You can check this out. So this is mostly the stuff I already explained, and then tried to like find other synergies. We have a bunch of aspects that just give us raw damage buffs, like the Conceited here, Vehement Brawler, for example. Trick shot is relatively important because that makes these side arrows come out, that gives you more hits. You really want to try to invest into those lucky hit procs here with the poison damage proc on the weapon. This should be poison because like this you can trigger Alchemical Advantage, a pretty important passive here that gives you more attack speed and lucky hit. There is other ways to proc that. You can do it with the Smoke Grenade, for example, if you don't have this. But realistically, this is just super comfy. And it also does really good damage. And then we have the Asheraf here, so I want to invest the most into this, trying to get this orange number and a GA on that thing, of course. I have a few different variants here, so if you don't have any mythics, you can, for example, go with the Call of the Nameless. That is a pretty good replacement for Air of Perdition, but this really goes ham later because you get all the crit, all the lucky hit, the 60% bonus. It's very powerful, and it's just always active compared to Cowl, where you might have to trigger it or press a potion or something like that. Speaking of potions, I put a Nebulous Bruise here, so you just kind of fill them up while you go, which is kind of comfy. That's very fun. And the push version looks a little bit different here. Originally, when I made this video about Azurath, and I had Victimize here, this is a buffed key passive, so it gives you 75% damage when you hit enemies with this. I tried this out, but it didn't feel as good as I had hoped, and I actually just went to close quarters combat here. So first of all, this is a bigger buff, it goes to 90% instead of 75. It also gives you 2 times 15% attack speed, once in cap 1, once in cap 2, so that's also really helpful, especially with this double dipping going on. And it's also very easy to stack up. So you just like throw in a turf glyph, for example, and you have this thing stacked. And you can even do it without the glyph, but there's not really that many great glyphs anyway. So I just kind of throw that in there. You can also go Headhunter there. But other than that, the glyphs and all are relatively locked in anyway. But this allows you to just go like damage per dark shot temper on the other remaining slots here. You get a lot of damage from that. And with close quarters combat, it is also very easy to activate every 8 seconds. So you just need to make sure that you hit something with a dash or a shadow step, basically. And also keep in mind, you have to hit something with your PENSHOT from close range. So usually you just shadow step in once in a while and then press PENSHOT once, and that's it. And it doesn't really feel like a chore. And that's pretty much it here for the rest of the setup. So you can check out the planner here. There's also the max roll guide that is very similar to this. So I didn't make the max roll guide, that was Matthias, but you can also find that here. Also linked down in the description. So here, PENSHOT. And this has like largely the same stuff as well. So you can check that out for a bit more details about everything here. Otherwise, I have a few notes here about especially attack speed breakpoints and so on, and hope that helps you out. And that's it here. So hope you enjoyed this video. I wish you good luck to Rogue. I will keep you guys updated if there's some other developments, but for now I'll be blasting this, and it is a ton of fun. So good luck in season 9, and see you guys next time.